Hello, and welcome to Unit 1, where we will talk about Chapter 1 from our textbook. I'm your instructor, Michael Sletton, and I would like to discuss what's going to happen in this unit. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the very first part, which is understanding, where we have the unit to-do list. The first thing that I would recommend that you do is read Chapter 1 in the book. Now let's go over to the book real quick. Here it is. I have a e-book, which is convenient. And let's go ahead and take a look at the chapter, which is first look at computer parts and tools. As we page through this chapter, we're going to see, what is inside a desktop case. And I have corresponding video for this too. I'll describe those links here in a few minutes. But here from pages 3 to page 5, the textbook talks about different types of connectors that are found on desktop computers. So pay particular attention to this. Like here's RJ45, which is the network port. Here's for audio. USB, which is very common, HDMI, DVI for LCD, for instance. And then we have more ports here. Understanding these ports is very critical to passing the A+ exam. And for those of you who are interested with a goal in mind of getting certified, you should pay particular attention to this. There's a description of what's inside a computer case. Again, I also have a video link that goes into this, which I'll describe here shortly. Here's a motherboard with the I/O panel, the input-output panel. These are all the different types of connectors that this particular motherboard has. Here's a video card. Here are RAM slots. Here's a hard drive. Here's a solid state drive. Here's a CD DVD. Here's the inside of the computer case, where there's just a power supply and all the power leads or tails with all the different connectors. So this obviously would need a motherboard. And here the chapter talks about the power supply. And it also talks about ATX form factor. ATX stands for Advanced Technology Extended. This is the most popular form factor there is currently for desktop machines. For the next 2 pages here on 9 and 10, it talks about power supplies and the various connectors, again, that are found on power supplies. Now, not every power supply is going to have the same types of connectors in terms of the amount that you see here. These are just all the possibilities. So it depends on the manufacturer, what the machine is, what the goals of the machine are, what the power requirements are, etc. So you're not going to see every single connector type on every single power supply is the point. Again, here's a case that is missing a motherboard. So here's the power supply. And here are the tails with the connectors. Talks more here in the chapter about the motherboard. Here's the P1 connector, which is for power. This clip that's on here is very difficult to remove for a reason, because you don't ever want that to become accidentally dislodged, because then it could interrupt power to the board, which could be catastrophic. And here it talks about the P1 connector. There's a special type of video card. Here the chapter talks about the micro ATX form factor. I'd like to also note here on Page 14, there's a hands-on project 1-1. If you have the resources available, I would recommend doing this as your write-up for the chapter. Also, on page 15, there's hands-on project 1-2. You could write about this also. And then the chapter goes into drives, their cables, and the connectors. Here we have some parallel ATA cables that are connecting a CD-DVD drive and a hard disk drive. And then here is a SATA data cable right here, serial ATA. Serial is faster than parallel. And then here's the power cable that comes off of the SATA drive. Here is how to connect SATA to a motherboard. So these are serial ATA connections coming off a hard disk drive. Again, here on page 17, we have a hands-on project 1-3. You can write about that. Here it goes into a little bit about laptops, notebooks, and different connectors that are found on laptops. Here's a security cable. USB to RJ45. Here's wireless. Probably not going to see so much of these because now modern devices tend to already have them integrated into the device, right? So this might be for an older machine. Here it talks about special keys, buttons, and input devices on a laptop. Different type of express card slots. PCI Express. And express cards. And then here are the internal components of a laptop. Things get much smaller on a laptop, obviously. So you're dealing with a very small amount of space. And what's of concern with laptops is heat. So they need to find a way to get rid of the heat, which is what you see in this copper bar here. That is to help remove heat from the system. Talks about an all-in-one computer here. Here we go into maintaining laptops and mobile devices on page 27. There's a checklist or procedures. Another hands-on project here on page 29, project 1-4, observing laptop features. I recommend that you could write about this also for your paper. And then the chapter gets into a first look at mobile device hardware. Different types of wearable technology, and then connection types. Continued. Page 33, we get into different types of storage devices and mobile device accessories. Page 34, we have a hands-on project 1-5. You can write about this if you'd like. Page 35, we start getting into tools of the tech. I'd like to make a note here that this wrist strap, two things here. One, the power cord is still plugged in here at the power unit itself, even though it's unplugged here. I don't recommend this at all. This is bad best practice. It should be fully disconnected. And before you even open up the case, the machine should be off for approximately 2 to 3 minutes just to make sure all the energy is discharged from the capacitors. The second thing is, you see this wrist strap here and how it's connected to the computer here? That is not a proper ground, because ground is actually an electrical ground. Like, it has to run through your house or through a proper grounded outlet. So you would want to get an electrical test device to test an outlet, make sure it's properly grounded, and then connect to it. Here are some more tools and a checklist. Here we go, talking about post-diagnostic cards. Another diagnostic card. Here's a power supply tester. Most people aren't going to spend the money to diagnose a power supply. They're just going to replace it because the amount of time and money it takes to diagnose a power supply and fix it far outweighs the price of just getting a brand new one. So here's a multimeter. There's a loopback plug. And then here's the chapter summary on page 40. You'd want to go through this, like what's inside a desktop case. First look at the laptop components. First look at mobile device hardware. And then tools used by a computer hardware technician. Here are some key terms. You definitely want to study this. And if you're going to get certified, you've really got to know this stuff backwards and forwards. And then here's some review questions, reviewing the basics. And then here's some thinking critically questions. And if you want to do these problems with the solutions, that's fine too. And that is chapter 1.